welcome everyone to the first of these Wednesday lives of the year. Happy 2024, happy new year, and happy to introduce you all to Jessica. Jessica, really happy that you're here.
Oh, hello, Alex, and happy new year to everyone and you.
I know, and again, it's super exciting because you're probably one of the happiest people I know, and that's what we're going to be talking about, looking at, happiness, how we can align that with the wants that we have with what's going on inside of our heads, our hearts, become successful. It sounds simple, but so many people are caught up in the trouble. I'll be happy when this arrives, when success arrives, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Jessica, you mind introducing yourself and sharing with everyone what you're all about, who you are?
Absolutely. So I'm a Swede that has lived in the UK for many, many years, 28 years actually, this month. So a very long time abroad. I started out as an interior designer actually many, many years ago, and made a name for myself here in London. And then I got into property development and investment alongside that. And along that journey, I also got really, really interested in life coaching and that sort of language that was being used with life coaching of emotional intelligence and so on. So for years, I have really been in that sort of space of loving the understanding of human and so on. And along the way, I took more and more steps, and I also got into the spiritual world and so on after more than 10 years after I started the personal development. And I've taken it from there really, and found my main ingredients, which has made my life and my success and my path, so to speak, blossom, is coming into love with self, finding love within self.
I know, and that's beautiful, especially for those people who once showered, who have no idea about the unconditional love. I'm going to count myself amongst those people. And then meeting you, I remember we met now nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah, in May.
Yeah, the love that you already have. And that doesn't come, and hearing you a bit about your journey, that doesn't come from nowhere. And people probably want to hear about your journey. Anyone who wants to come in with a comment, feel free. I see someone's already commented on Facebook. It looks like they're wonderful to see both of us. But anyone else wants to come in with a comment, ask us a question, write something in the comments, ask us. And we're going to be talking about that. I guess the first thing I would have for you, because this is like the concentrated success. We spoke about love, about happiness. A lot of people who basically want to be successful, which I think is everyone on the planet, let's be perfectly frank. Anyone who wants to be successful, no one wants to be a failure. Then they'll be thinking, what's love got to do with it? Because success is basic. A lot of the times, basically, at least for me, was graduate from uni, get a job, has to be a corporate job, has to be a certain type of job, buy a house, get married, have kids. It looks different for everyone, but that's the outside-in external definition what society says successful is. So what even is success to you, Jessica? Because it seems like it's a bit different when we talk about love and happiness and all of that stuff.
See, I would say a lot of times we live with programming. Actually, we all live with programming. We all live with programming. We are born we've been given an identity at the time of our birth. So we took after whatever our parents believed. And we were created, our environment was created according to that. So unlearning what we have to do to be successful is the first part of success. And also when we need to do each step. That also society has told us that we have to have a partner by then, and we have to be in a coupled relationship, otherwise we're not happy, and so on and so on. And that's the same with education. It's the same with religion. It's the same with food. It's the same with where we socialize and what we do to socialize and so on. We follow usually our parents' pattern, right?
Yeah.
So literally, it's to break the habit of, or the pattern from childhood. Say, consciously decide this is not successful to me, or this is not my truth.
Yeah. Fair play. Yeah, it's basically looking at, where did it come from in the first place, and you said from your parents. That's what I took on to be successful. And you take on other people's patterns and identities. And I speak about that in my book coming out. Really, it breaks you. It's like what someone once told me is that if you're not carving out your own career, your own destiny, someone else is going to carve out your career and your destiny and your entire life for you. They're going to tell you in extreme examples of this, other places in the world, they're going to tell you who you're going to get married to. Oh, yeah, you're going to get married to this person. We're arranging you to get married to this person. And then they think that's successful. That's the way it's always been done, right? So I think that it's hard to even recognize it, because if something's always been done a certain way and we see our parents doing that throughout our lives, what can we do about it? Just can we recognize it? But what about when you don't even recognize it? You're just going about your life, doing your thing, and you're doing what you've been told to do,
Well, see, this is it, because a lot of people that I work with are actually extremely successful people, especially a certain cultural upbringings. They have really set roles and how you can't be vulnerable, because vulnerability and truth goes hand in hand with self-love. So for you to be in your vulnerable self, which is your true essence of you, right? You must feel internal peace. And peace comes with self-love again, right? It's impossible to be on the go and not reflect in towards your heart to be living to your full capacity. It's not possible. We can pretend we are. We can pretend, because I too have been in that boat, right? So we can chase a career. We can do the doing, right? Being our masculine. And we can really chase. And, we see that with a lot of people that get extremely wealthy within finances, for example, or you could have someone that is highly strong in a sort of corporate world and make a lot of money, but they come to their 40s, maybe 50s, and they go, is this it? Is this it? I'm not happy inside. The divorce is coming, or the breakdown inside, or the longing for more. The darkness inside is becoming so huge because they have been, or us, I should speak for all of us, have been on autopilot. So we have not actually registered that the backache we had, or the migraines that we had, or the I don't know, IBS that we had, or the fatigue that we lived with, and so on, had to do with something bigger trying to tell us that, you know what, you're on the wrong track, mate.
Yeah, Jessica, obviously we met before, but you just described me. It's like you stole words out of my mouth from the story I told you when we first met. Because I had backache, migraines, IBS, fatigue. Difference was, and I was working in accounting and finance. You said difference was I was 26, not 40. And already then I couldn't take it. I've been doing it for 3 years, thereabouts. And the migraine was so bad. I remember how much my head was pounding like this, and it had been going for weeks and weeks and weeks. The day before, the woman I was with at the time, now my ex-girlfriend, she said to me, you're going to burn out, Alex. And I just brushed it off. Then the next day I was at a client, and then it was so bad, the headache. I asked one of the people I was managing to drive me home. And immediately as I got home and I told my boss at the time, I'm taking the day off, I'm sick. She was really frantic. The migraine got worse when she was saying, no, you can't go. And then I just hung up the phone, and immediately the migraine just disappeared. I knew I couldn't go back to that job again, and I didn't. And that's not to say that everything was resolved overnight. It's a journey, and that's what this is about.
It is a journey, but it's sort of recognized to actually be conscious of that. So when someone finally points some of those points out, or you can feel it, that's when we start connecting the dots, right? So sometimes that is in our 40s or 50s. That happens a lot of times. It's in the 40s or 50s. You are very, very blessed that you found out earlier. Also, there is a slight difference now because there's more information on social media and so on. There's much more information out there. And there's also more talks about mental health and so on, which possibly when I was in my 20s didn't really exist, right? Because I'm quite old.
I want to tell. No one write in the comment how old you think Jessica is. 33. Anyway, in terms of information, but in terms of what's out there, like the kind of things that's out there, I don't know if the information is a good thing, so much of it is a good thing or a bad thing. Because yeah, we can hear about more, we can connect with anyone on the planet in a fraction of a second, if that. At the same time, you see so much out there on like social media, like Instagram, for example, or streaming to right now, like influence, and then people will look at the photos on there and think, oh, I want to look like this person who's been photoshopped, airbrushed, and that's success. Like 10 years ago, or how long ago? No, 15 years ago, like I was in school, influence wasn't a job title. Now it's the number one thing everyone in school wants to be. That's success for a lot of people. So
soon everyone wants to be an AI expert. It will change.
Already everyone is. I scroll through like the feeds and I see like everyone talking. Everyone's an AI expert, which is funny because 2 years ago they didn't know what the letters meant.
Yeah. But going back to what you just said. So this is the problem, right? When we are programmed. So we can decide to be AI robots already, or we can decide for ourselves, make a decision. It's your decision. Change is an option. It's an option. We can break down somewhere along the line and we have to change, or we can just say, you know what, I'm living like that. I don't want to feel that way. And I don't want to have the void in my stomach, or I don't want to feel guilty or fear, or I don't want to feel lonely within myself anymore, because it's actually our own emotion. It has nothing to do actually with the surrounding. It has all to do with how you receive information around you, right? Yeah. So going back to the social media, if we live in it, is harmful. Just like watching the news or turning on the TV every night, autopilot, sitting watching soap operas and things like that every night, drinking, any form of addiction, that's also done to just lower our frequency. We are not supposed to be down there. That's a low frequency. We are supposed to thrive. Thrive doesn't mean we need to make a lot of money. Money will come to us when we thrive from the right place, which is from the heart. The heart is actually so much stronger than the mind, but everyone recognizes the mind, the brain, to be the clever part. This is the clever part, yeah.
I hate that word clever because it sounds so nefarious. Like there's cleverness and then there's intelligence. And the mind's always going to try and be clever. It's not very intelligent, though. Is it intelligent to worry all the time and overthink every little detail? Someone said something about the way you look and they think, oh, does that mean I'm fat? Oh, my God. That's what the mind does.
What did they mean? What did they mean by that?
It happens. I remember I get tripped up by this like, so much because I'm a head thinker. I trip on my own thoughts. I can trip on my own thoughts for hours if I don't stop myself like that, which...
Mind you, Alex, you have changed a lot in the 2 years I have known you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Now you have changed so much. I would say the softening of you as a person is just magical. Honestly, it's really, really magical.
Yeah, beautiful. And you've seen that in 2 years? You have no idea what I was like before. I mean, going back to the head tripping, for example, it could be because I deal with a lot of executives. They speaking short sentences and one-word answers. If I was to write like a message or an email or something like that, and then they just say something like, yes, thanks, I can get into a rut about that in my head for days and days and days. Like, what does it mean? I've said, again, do you want to do this or this? And they say, yes. It's like, that's not an answer. Do you want to do this or this? You have to tell me exactly what, that kind of insanity. And that's the thing about the insanity we've been speaking about. It comes from conditioning and about recognizing where we are in our hearts. Now, that's something not a lot of people go down that route. Now people are opening up to that. I guess in the age of vulnerability, you hear Brene Brown and all that. But I guess people are still, myself, I'm resistant to it. I'll be honest, why? Because I'm a man. It's how I've been brought up, No one spoke about this. back in my day.
Yeah, but that's another thing. So that's a perception we have. We have a perception that man should not be vulnerable and man should be alpha. Alpha as in having no emotion and be strong.
Yeah.
But what have I wrong? Strength is when you can be vulnerable. Strength is when you can actually tune with your heart and your brain. That is sexiness right there. To be able to combine the two and actually earn or trust what this one is telling you in here. Not only this here, because this is a mind game. That's why we call it mind games. This is why we said, don't be in your head. You are just in your head all the time. It's because when we are only here, when we not utilize the coherence, we are often getting it wrong.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, everything's connected. And if you're like stuck up there, that's why I say stuck in your head, you're dead, reach out a hand, you're grand. I think I first said that when I was training salespeople, actually. Same thing works with ourselves. And the third part of that is where they're stuck in your head, you're dead, reach out a hand, you're grand, embody the body, you're godly. Yeah, it's about dropping into the body, the heart space. I remember when I did that, maybe for the first time, but like, is this something, but I'll maybe talk about that. But before I do, maybe you want to talk about how you came to this awareness, because you've been through a hell of a lot in life. And where you are now is, I don't know if this was all natural for you. Maybe there's something in the water in Sweden. Why don't you let us know?
Yeah, so I would say this. So I did have a lot of trauma in my life, abuse, and a lot of traumatic episodes throughout my life. Although I would like to just say, who does not come from trauma? We can say, well, this happened to me, blah, 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 and yes, it did. I came out of a very abusive relationship 8 years ago and so on. And that was the tipping point for me. Tipping point where my body could not handle me people pleasing anymore and putting myself so far down the ladder of what I deserved, right? Because I did not understand my own worth. I did not understand how magical I was inside because I hadn't discovered something called self-love. I was loving. I was loving to everyone. I was exactly how I am now. Very kind, very outgoing, very happy, hugged everyone, was very self-confident. I could go into any scenario and I could do business and so on and so on. But what I could not do was to feel comfortable with myself inside. So I drank way too much. I was the party girl and I pride myself. I was very proud of that personality or my personal reality at the time. I was the party girl. I was a sexy beast, and I was out there all the time and I would party, smoke, I would party, drink, and occasionally even go into drugs and so on, because it dampened how I felt inside. It just lowered that shitty feeling I had in my stomach of just the trauma was stuck in my stomach. It was like a massive mess of darkness, but also not worthy, not good enough in my stomach. But it sat there and I could not identify it. And then I was so ill. I was having blackouts. I was having seizures in and out of the hospital and so on and so on. And this was when I had started building my career within properties as well, right? And I didn't even have a driving license. Everything was stripped down. And I kept on plowing. I was still in my racehorse scenario, right? I'm making success. I can make money, which I did. But I wasn't cohering with this here. And suddenly it hit me. 2018, something happened inside of my body. And I literally just got it. And I started and I did everything myself. It was not a specific person or stuff like that. I just started searching. I'm a curious person. So I started looking. Something's got to be out there for me, because I'd been with so many specialists. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. there's nothing wrong with you. All the tests came back, you're fine, you're normal. So in the end, they said you have dissociative seizures, which literally means you have mental breakdown. I couldn't handle what was going on in my environment because I was a mess inside. I was fucked up, really. And I wasn't showing that on the outside except my illness. So literally, I just healed myself. I decided when the NHS said, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing wrong with you. I just literally said to myself, right, I want to heal myself. So that's how my journey started. How I found love within. And that's when I realized how important it is and how you build success, whatever that means to you. Wealth and success means different things to different people. It's not always money. Again, that's just a program commodity. We think wealth and richness is in money because that's what we've been told. To be successful, you have to have money in your hand or you have to have it in your bank account and so on. But actually, richness and wealth is here. And if you are an achiever, you can still achieve and being coherent, because that's when you manifest. That's when you are in abundance. Because you're fully true. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'll be honest, that's really heartbreaking what you went through. At the same time, it's soul nourishing by where you came out of and where you are today. And anyone here would applaud you for it. And like you, and I think this has happened to anyone who's been brought to the brink, like literally over here, is that there's always a moment, one thing, and it just kind of flips for them. Same thing happened to me. I won't go into that now, but 2017, one day, literally one day, one moment, microcosm, something that could be very small to a lot of people was big to me. And then there is, it's inside of me all along. Same thing as you. Physician, heal thyself, they say. Only you can heal you.
No one else. And you know what is very, very easy to do, again, because we think this is going to help us feel happier on the inside, is we're trying to change everything around us. We're changing house, we're changing partners, we're changing jobs, we are changing, we keep on nagging our partners to be a different way. Don't sit like that. Why are you smacking your mouth like that? Whatever it is, don't make the sauce like that and blah, 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 because we believe having control is going to make us somehow more together. But when we are actually coherent with our heart, all that just falls off because it's not relevant anymore. Because when we are tuned with ourselves, we don't need to nag other people. It falls into place. It just falls into place where you go, oh my gosh, it's peaceful in there. You don't have to find some sort of a, can we call it, bully around you that you can dump. And that's the same with kids. People that have children, a lot of times the kids get it. The husband or the wife gets it, that sort of bickering or the total dominance in whatever form that is. It could be controlling, or it could be abuse, or it could be at work, not daring to give away work loads and so on, because they don't think anyone else is good enough. But really, they're reflecting on themselves. I'm not good enough. It's just a made up little story that we made to ourselves to keep ourselves in the safety zone. Hey, certainty, but certainty doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's true. It reminds me. Maybe you were sat with me. Remember in Peru, or in Cusco, Casa de la I think maybe you sat with you, Jonathan Bowman Perks. Remember him?
Yes, absolutely.
I remember we were, and this was like second day we were there. We just sat in the grass. I'm trying to remember if it was you there. Tell me if you remember this. I was about to say something, go off into some story that made up my. You said something like, "Alex, your story doesn't matter."
Yeah, that was probably me.
That was probably you. Okay, it was probably you. Actually.
Yeah, it was probably me. Because I do that quite often. Because I have boundaries now. If people go on and on and on about stories, a lot of times I said, you're in your story. It doesn't matter.
Well, you didn't even allow me to. I think I barely opened my mouth. I was about to say something. I was like, I think I was about to go into the pity party. San Pedro brought up a lot. You know what I mean? So I think I was about to go off somewhere, and then I was like, as soon as I was like, you're like, stop there, Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, that could very well have been me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that sometimes we're so focused on the problem, but as you said already, everything is already perfect as it is. Everything already was perfect. We don't need to try and control or fix anything in the outside world. Just as, and again, going back to, was it you in Cusco who put me on to what, Michael Singer? Yeah, surrender experiment, that kind of stuff.
No.
No, okay, fair enough. No, it was basically, realizing already the world had been spinning fine before we were here, going to keep spinning after we're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is actually already fine. It's just the story we tell ourselves. And what someone has wrote over here saying that, one of the things that they tell themselves is, when they're stuck in their own head, how to get out of that place of being stuck. Now, I know what it's like to feel stuck, and it is pretty simple for me to to undo that. What would you say to that, Jessica?
To undo the stuckness, you mean, or?
Say someone like, again, whoever it said over here, Facebook user, usually it says the name of the person who wrote it. I'm not sure why it didn't listen. But let's say, for example, I think one of the most difficult parts of this conversation is that I'm stuck in my own head, and how can I get out of that place? Like someone who is a bit like, again, I'm not sure, again.
Oh, I see. No, I know. Yes.
As I said, it's difficult to drop from here into there, the heart, you know what I mean?
Well, see, this is it. I mean, life is always a little path, right? We don't learn overnight and suddenly we are experts, right? We are always learners. Our whole life, we're going to be learners. We will never reach a destination. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only fact we have, because every day we learn something new.
Yeah.
But what happens when you actually practice forgiveness of self, first of all? So it's not about forgiving people that have done you wrong so much around you. Because if you have been in trauma, or you're coming out of abuse, for example, that where someone has verbally abused you, or they might have been, you might be coming out of a narcissistic relationship, it could be sexual abuse, whatever it is, you might not feel very, woohoo, I'm going to forgive this person. So that's not really the point. The point is to not go into the emotion you had about what happened, but to actually say, I'm going to forgive myself for staying in it. Mm-hmm. I am responsible for the emotions I have in my body. So you're actually reflecting inwards. You are saying, my emotions that I store towards what happened in my life is my responsibility as an adult. As a child, you have no choice. But as an adult, you have a choice. Mm-hmm. We can change. We can change the perception of our personal reality, our personality. Personality does not exist. It's something you make up. So you can change your personality. Exactly. If you're not happy with the one you have, change it.
Yeah, 100%. And responsibility literally means the ability to respond. Mm-hmm. The English language is wonderful with words, responsibility to respond. So you can respond to the emotions that are coming up in the present moment, not do what, I did. I tried to run away from it. If I was even aware of it, most of the time I just suppress it, I'll push it down, smoke a cigarette, get pissed off at myself, beat myself up. I wasn't even aware of what was going on. That's why I was stuck in my head all the time. And the easiest thing, the most simple way is literally to get out of your head, get into the body. Do something, anything to get into the body. It could be, for some people, dancing. For a long time for me, I would go weightlifting. I still do that today. Anything to move from here, going down and down. Eventually, you can just drop into the heart automatically.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I really believe in is just easy things as forgiveness mantras. I know they are like, what really is like 4 sentences. But actually to do that and say, hey, I'm going to commit to these 4 sentences and I'm going to do it for 10 minutes a day or whatever it is, you can literally change the programming in your mind. Just that starts dropping a little bit more. Meditation is another one. When you are in stillness with self, when you are in peace for that little moment, you don't have to be brilliant at meditation. No one is brilliant at meditation in the beginning. And pretty much 95% says, I can't meditate because it's annoying and I don't want to sit still and I'm all over the place. Stick with it. Give it a chance. Just like you do with going to the gym. again, you're reflecting on gym you're going to because you can see the result on the outside. So people go, oh, that person is attractive because they have a fit body. But if you're not fit inside, never mind about that fit body, right?
You're not going to get there anyway, because it's all in the mind. It starts with the mental image. And this is the thing about success. Going back to meditation or the gym, people will have a picture in their head of, oh, well, this is the fit body, what it looks like. Well, this is a successful meditator, probably some like monk on the mountains with, I don't know, who knows. But they start at it and they have this burst of energy. They're like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then a week goes by or 2 weeks or however long, and they see, oh, I don't have the results I want. And then they quit, inevitably. Rather than focusing on
is one of the main ingredients, right? Persistency. If we give up after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we're in the same boat. It's the same as dieting, exercise, whatever it is. If we are willing to give up, that's also lack of self-love. Because when we are in love of self, we won't harm our bodies. Simple. We won't sit and watch porn for 4 hours, or we won't sit and take drugs because that's the only fun thing we can do on a Saturday night. We won't. Because when you have self-love, you won't do that to your body.
Yeah, I mean, it's automatic. You know, I used to smoke cigarettes. I don't anymore. It wasn't even a challenge to quit, because it was like, oh, I made the decision. After the decision, it was like, what was the decision? It was really to love myself and nourish myself. It doesn't make anything like going to bed early a chore, going to the gym a chore, or this a chore. I don't have to think today about whether I'm going to smoke a cigarette. Where the time I tried to quit before, I beat myself up. I go like, smash myself in the head thinking about, oh, am I going to quit smoking cigarettes today? And I batter myself, and then I go to the bin where I threw the cigarettes out. Pick them. You don't need to do that. It's easy when you love yourself, really. Everything is easy, and you become softer, like you said.
Yeah. And also we dare to be in our vulnerable self. You know, I work with a lot of men, because men are the ones that don't have a whole lot of friends that they speak about vulnerable things with. So they come to people like me, because it's when they can be in a woman's presence and not be judged, but actually practice to be vulnerable. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful to see a man that is in his strength in maybe his career, but inside that person, man or woman, really, I shouldn't really speak one sex only, but whatever they are, to see them come into their power inside too. It's so gorgeous, because they belong together. You know, we have to cohere the whole system.
100%. I mean, that's what someone's mentioned now, the coherence. They say here, oh yeah, mixing mind, gut, heart intelligence. Yeah, if anyone has any tips. And yeah, maybe people will comment there, but Jessica, like when it comes to something like, and this is like, I'm going to ask this for myself firstly, because I am a chronic, or rather was a chronic thinker, as you know.
You were.
A chronic thinker.
You're changing rapidly.
Yeah, I remember, and so I remember there's some stuff that I've done, but I remember there was one moment that I was doing. I signed up for like this weekend retreat, and later we'll talk about the retreat you're organising if anyone's interested. But this weekend retreat I went on in Dorset, I was like, I remember I had a nap and I went downstairs. I was like, I don't want to do this dancing meditation. Like, I don't like dancing meditation, fine, but dancing meditation for 45 minutes.
Silly. Yeah, silly. Oh my god. Yeah.
And the person was like, but it's incense. I don't remember what her name was. Like Kelly. I was like, okay, now we're going to go into the chakras. It's like, fuck this bullshit. They're in chakra or whatever. Anyway. So yeah,
that would have been me before as well, actually.
Yeah.
Before I got into feminine, like, it would have been me as well. I would have been like, oh my god, this is a bit woo-woo. But woo-woo, spirituality,
yeah, nothing wrong with chakras. I mean, it just is what it is. But I kind of want something, very direct. Do this. It's like, give me an instruction manual and give me a step-by-step guide to enlightenment. I'll do that. Okay, thank you very much. Leave the chakras out of it. But anyway, I was like, I'll do it because I was there anyway. And I was like, then we got to the heart chakra, the music playing, the incense smell, and she was like, and then she said something like, the mantra is, "You are lovable. Feel it in your heart." And then I just burst out in tears. I was like, oh God, I remember all the times I never thought I was lovable. That really kicked it for me, you know what I mean? That really brought me straight into my heart, and something cracked. And just really started to open there. I've always been lovable. I've always had an open heart. Everyone's heart is open. It's just we choose to close it because that's how we're conditioned to do it.
Well, it's also how we think we're safe. Yeah. We're playing it safe. So we are closing the doors. We're putting little fence around our hearts, so we think that that's how we are safe. We're playing it safe, but if we understand that life is uncertainty, there is no certainty. Why not try? Wouldn't it be nice to just say, hey, I'm just not going to worry. I'm just going to open up those doors and I'm going to say to myself, I'm going to live. Because when we close barriers, we're not living fully. We're living in hurt, fear, guilt, and so on and so on. And we're just closing opportunities, because as soon as those doors are open, everything starts flowing. People come to you. You attract people around you of the same frequency, instead of more abuse, more whatever, if it's money, financial issues, or whatever it is, right? You suddenly become abundant because you dare to open the doors to your heart.
Yeah, but you're going to attract what you already feel and are. We know this, and we see it in our lives all the time. If you're worried about something and you sit in there and you stew in there, you're going to feel that in your body. Like, I have a presentation, or I have a date, so I'm sweating. My heart is pounding, or something like that. That's just adrenaline. Yeah. You're giving you feedback. Feel into that and open your heart. That's one thing you can do. Getting into those flow activities, like the presentation, for example. I have given thousands of presentations in my life, and I had stage fright because I had a speech impediment. My tongue is, as my dad said, my tongue is too long, my mouth is too small. And like my dad used to say to me when I was a kid, and my granddad would come over from South Africa, he didn't speak English as the first language. He'd say, slow down, open your mouth wide. You can't do that, then shut up and don't say anything to your granddad, okay? And that held me back for many years. It was through doing those activities, getting up on stage, overcoming the fear, I was able to channel that energy of nervousness, the trauma, I suppose, outwards into love for other people with us. And then that turned back into love for myself, because I was doing a pretty good flow state activity. Someone here said about flow state activity. Weightlifting is great, dancing for flow. Other person over here about connecting with the body, getting more awareness. Anything to move us out of our head into something where we can flow through it. And we're held back so often by what we're thinking about. Just as you said, the worry. Why worry about anything at all?
Well, that's easier said than done, though, because it's easy to say, I'm not going to worry. But if you don't understand what needs to be done to not worry, you're going to keep on going to this here. Which brings me really to another piece of the puzzle that I have discovered last year, which is neuroscience and neuroplasticity, and introducing how, without having to do years and years and years and years and years of trying to remove or get better and not fall into these dips again of feeling inadequate, which is the biggest root cause, right, of self-love, to be inadequate, right? So exactly. So when we go into neuroplasticity and we're creating more space in our brain, and we're restructuring how we utilize the brain, and we start using the cerebellum in the back. And if we do this with bilateral stimulation, which is a eye movement technique, so it's very incredibly powerful. And this tool, in combination with what I'm doing these days and how I work with people and so on, is incredibly powerful. The combination.
Mind telling us more? Is that something people can do by themselves? Do they have to find someone out there like yourself to get in touch with to do that, or how would it work? Someone who's
no, you can't really. You would have to do like a program, but there's quite a few out there. I mean, I work with a company called Sing Performance. So they are the ones I'm working with, and I'm working closely with Winfred Dorr, which is the owner of the company. And I'm also working with another lady called Sarah Grace, which is very much into the nervous system. So it's also, how do you cope with emotions inside of your body? How do you actually get out of the emotion and not living in it? Just let it go through you. You can have the emotion, you can recognize you have it, and so on, and how we actually regulate the nervous system. So she works with that, and we are putting some amazing stuff together. We have some beautiful collaborations. So we're taking all the strength and we're putting them together into what you were talking about, the dots. Give me a program, how most Western world, especially people want to work, especially men.
Exactly. And it's funny that over time, this was the realization I had over time, because there was so much I read and so much I did, but actually it all kind of fits together, and it's like, rather than like step by step, everything is like the same thing. It's like you combine this and this and this, and you come up with your own program for yourself. Everything is a lesson in life. I love it. Yeah.
I think also from my own journey, it's lovely to be able to say, right, this work that I've done for so many years, and especially the 8 last years, if I can give people like a lot of the stuff that I learned and how I have removed trauma or reprogrammed trauma, really, and how I realized along the way that we have it all inside. Everything is inside of us already. We're not finding it on the outside. Our purpose is in here. Our purpose and our everything we need is inside of us. But we're not allowing it to bloom because we're closing doors, we're closing opportunities, we're closing energy flow in our body. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it is already figured out for us. We already know this ourselves. It's just like tuning back into it, and we tend to forget, especially someone, like I would delegate my power. I'd give it away to other people, other things, look for the answer elsewhere. The answer is really already here. And if anyone else wants to, time's flown by really quickly now. I've got like 20 minutes left, but if anyone else wants to ask us something, feel free to comment below and we'll shout. I suppose for people who are, still stuck in chasing something, how can, and we spoke already about deconditioning those programs and all of that, but what can people do once they recognize it, but they're still trying to get to grips with, but where do I really begin on this journey? What can I
come to our retreat? There you go.
There. Simple. Let's talk about the retreat then. Tell us about it. I mean, it's in the UK, February 10th to 13th. Is that right? A couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's it. In Warwickshire. So it's actually a tester. It's a tester retreat. We'll be testing out all the material. We'll be doing everything from the program. It's actually a whole month of program. It's not only the 4 days at the retreat, but that's the treat. It's actually 30 days, the program. And it's life-changing. It is beyond life-changing, really, because we are combining these parts that I was just telling you, and we are creating something that will help millions to actually live their fullest version that they already have inside, but we are helping them to release and let it out.
Yeah, I mean, one person living their fullest version, that helps the entire world already.
10 million. That's the aim. 10 million people we're going to help out. That's my aim. You hear that, people?
Beautiful. And I love, you sent me something earlier about that. Let's just see what's over there. What you're going to get from going to that retreat. Self-love, empowerment, resilience, root cause resolution, clarity, balance, community, and peace. Pretty good big promises over there.
Yeah. I feel more than confident that everyone will come away with a very, very changed way of looking at life.
Oh, cool.
Men and women, and whatever area you're in, it's like it's not for females only. I know a lot of men think as soon as they hear self-love, if we called it something else, inadequacy within, maybe that's a better word for men. I don't really know. Self-love always feels a bit feminine.
Well, here's the thing. What is it that men don't want to hear or never want to hear? No man wants to be told that they're weak. Then they're being told they're inadequate, as you said. Inadequate, impotent. Every man wants to be in their strength, have power. And we can go back and say, oh, it's an ego thing. Fair enough. Men have big egos. Oh, man, I've got a big ego myself. Nothing wrong with that. It's just the way things are. But, how to find a better way, I suppose.
Yeah, it's to find a better way maybe of living, but also let's say that you're in a partnership, or if you're married, how can you become a better partner? And not, maybe it's one end of the stick. It could be, how can I stop people pleasing? Because that's a true identity many people have labeled themselves with, and they practice every day because they had trauma in childhood. And the people please, I was an expert at people pleasing myself. Like, I people pleased so much that I would like, if I had a friend that had 10 pounds less than me, I will buy all the drinks all night. Like, those sort of things. It's like, that doesn't make sense, but that's what I did, same with my kids, my partners in the past, and so on. I would people please so much to be loved because I did not feel my own love inside, right? So to be able to create the best possible, if you're single, to be able to actually say, I am love, before you say, I am seeking love. You are already love. You have to become love first to have a really healthy relationship. There is no other way. Because if you can't find yourself, how on earth are you going to find someone?
Well, it's as simple as how can you give what you don't already have? Simple.
And also, it's very easy to write that wish list. I want this in my partner. But if you don't have any of that yourself, I'm not saying you can't have some differences, but if you can't contain, let's say, X, Y, and Z yourself, how on earth can you ask for it from someone else? Confidence, or, if you can't feel love, they have to be loving towards you, but they have to show you love. They have to give you gifts. But if you can't give yourself a gift, if you can't be loving towards yourself, if you can't feel valid at work and so on, you're not containing any of that energy that you want from someone else. So to live in abundance and to actually manifest that around you, you have to become yourself. And that's what we do with this whole program. You're reprogramming how you work it within your partnership, or if you're single, at work, how you are with your colleagues, how you feel when you walk home from work, even not daring to take steps out there, changing your career. You're walking around thinking you're not worthy, you're too old, you don't have the right degree, I'm not good enough, what are people going to think about me? That's another one, all of those.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're going to get what you already are. It's interesting, but between every, it used to be job, now it's, again, business. So there is no between job anymore. But between every relationship, every job, every transitional period of my life, I would kind of do the same thing, which is, and for some reason I often do this on a plane. I don't know why I did this on a plane to Peru. Because I left a relationship about a month or two earlier, and I wrote down, reflecting on who am I, the kind of qualities of a person I already am. Not saying, I want to become, what I already am. And it's funny because I end up attracting all of that kind of stuff. Between relationships, I would write down, what do I bring to a relationship? What do I bring to a partnership when I'm not even looking for it? And by seeing what I have to give, what I already am, because I'm a pretty awesome dude, I think, anyway, then I attract those kind of people. And it's funny because the same things I wrote down on the list when I was I remember going to Peru, I just kind of writing down a lot of stuff. It was a long flight, long flight from the UK. And I wrote down a lot of stuff. I forgot about it. Funny, because 9 months later, when Chris, now my fiance, was with me in the UK, and she was sharing with me, she wrote down on the day that we met, actually, in her diary, a year before, the kind of things she's looking for in a partner. It matched it perfectly. I think she wrote down a year before she met me were the same things that I wrote down, 2 months before I met her, or something like that. Insane. Wow.
Yeah, that's beautiful, eh? I can't see the names. I don't know if you can, Alex, but someone says, I always found it amazing that I sought self-love from others when it needs to come from within. It's a lifelong journey now to get and stay there. The result is being as much better person to every relationship. Yeah, exactly. That's it, eh? It's we have to actually come back to self to be more for others. That's it. It's nothing wrong to share and serve others and to be a caring person and to actually please and be there for your partner or for other people. But it has to be from a heart that is it's coherence. Because if you don't feel love within your heart towards yourself, you're actually giving to someone else to tell you that you are loving and that you are lovable and that you are worthy. And you constantly addicted to someone else telling you that you are okay, that you are loved, that you are missed, that you are all that, that you are amazing. But if you can feel that first within yourself, it's so amazing because you're coming from a different perspective.
Yeah, that's difficult when people have been told their entire lives, because some people may have been showered with unconditional love their entire lives. I've never met anyone who has been that way, where their life has all been rosy. And even if it were, we kind of need the bad to experience the good. The way I always think of it is that a rose is beautiful, but it grows out of manure, you know? You need that growth. If you don't have a good day, you have a growing day. We all want contrast. How can you appreciate the good without the bad and the beauty without the ugly? And in terms of, yeah, exactly. And from what you were saying over there, really this self-love, self-care, it has to start from yourself.
It is also kindness within and peace in your body. Peace is such an underrated state of being. We can still be achievers. I'm still an achiever. I freaking love money. I hold my hand up. I love career. I love to be out there. I love to do deals. I'm still in all of this entrepreneurship and so on. And I'm out there. I love business. But we can cohere everything. We can live and not work hard because that's what we think we deserve. We can actually work from here intuitively and cohere it with the mind, and we can be much wiser in the working world.
Pretty much. I mean, that's why the word of the year for me is ease. Ease. Most people, and other people come to me, they're often stressed out and burned out. They overwork themselves. They think it's insane that you can be successful and not have to work hard. You mean you don't have to work 12-hour days? You only need to work, sometimes 4 hours, if that, if you want to? Sounds insane to them. I mean, but then, you get to experience the level of freedom if that's what you want. If you want freedom and abundance and all the joy and love out of life, you don't have to have it. But if you want that, it's a pretty awesome place to be. And that's why
everyone wants freedom. They just don't know it yet.
But it's a case of like what people really, really, really want. And this is why I love life. I'm free to, like I did the other week, and do pretty much every day. But I remember the other week I was having a really stressful day. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk outside, went to the park and listen to birds for 20 minutes. I have no obligation to do anything by anyone. And everything is still going to tick along just fine. That's freedom,
Freedom.
And that's the same thing, what you were saying with peace. I had an argument with someone. It was a former manager of mine, still in touch about. She said that it was at a work event in London. I forgot what bar we're in. And she said that everyone wants happiness. Happiness is the most important thing in life. And I just disagreed with her. I was like, no, it's peace. Because happiness comes and goes. Happiness is based on the external. If then I will be happy. Peace is like a deep river of well-being that lies in the
joy and to actually you choose your own happiness. Again, happiness doesn't come from what you get on the outside. You have to feel it inside. If you don't feel joy, if you don't feel peace, if you don't feel secure within yourself, in your internal little world, if you don't have tranquility within yourself, it's very hard. Gratitude is another one. I almost forget. Gratitude. If you don't feel gratitude towards where you are already, if you can't live in the here and now, if you keep on chasing the future, or you live telling your own truth from way back, if you keep on telling them about your trauma or how someone did you wrong and so on, you're not living here and now. You're not in gratitude. You're living on a different freaking planet. So that's happiness stems from you finding it in here, and being in gratitude of what you have.
Good summation of pretty much everything we spoke about, because we were starting about like from the outside, the external, what society is telling you to be successful, is already within anyway, and just tapping into what's already inside of you right here, right now, which is the peace, the gratitude, the love. And a lot of people, I guess some people may be watching, yeah, but this sounds all wishy-washy. What about, the things that they want, the strictly things that they can do? As opposed to that, I would say, if it's working for you, great. If it's not working, you can open your mind to something new. And it's fine. It's an invitation there, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, all I can say is that the way we can bloom into our best possible version, and if you are the person that keep on feeling that, yes, you might have great success in your career, or you might have great success with something else within your little pie chart, right? But you feel that there's parts of those categories in your life that keeps on going wrong. It could be relationships, or it could be money for some people, or it could be I don't know, health. It could be anything like that. When you feel that those are not lining up and constantly keeps being on repeat, going wrong, that's when you're not coherent in your body. You're not aligned, and you need to come to me.
That retreat. Yeah. Besides the retreat, and let's just see over here. Here it is, the harmonic mind retreat. There it is. So what?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. We also do one-to-ones, but yeah, this is interesting, and it's incredibly value for money because it's a tester run, so you get a lot for your money. So if anyone is interested, just contact me. And best one would probably be Facebook, Jessica Olsson-Zabel. Reason is because I'm a Facebook social media person. I'm not very good with any other techie things, or Messenger, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Facebook, the other way is you have this over here. You've got the way, which is
which is a private group. So this is all about coherence of heart. It's very much of a love space for people to be vulnerable and so on. And there is men and women in there of all age groups, and it's beautiful. It's just a space of doing a journey together, really. The way. That's on Facebook. Yeah.
So anyone can join the way, and that's, if you search the name, great way to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And we can hear more about the retreat and see what it's all about. How many people can you take on the retreat? I guess it's limited, right?
Well, this one is very limited because we're in a private home out in the countryside, a beautiful home with a pool and so on in the countryside. But we have limited to 12 people for this first one. So, and it's we have filled half of those so far. So.
Wow, you filled half of those. So only 6 spaces there. Wow. Okay. So yeah, you can reach out to Jessica, reach out to myself, and I can put you in touch with Jessica. Then you can just send something over there. Jessica, any final words of wisdom with at the minute now? So you have 60 seconds to share one thing that people can take away from this. I'll leave it over to you.
If I could just give one little tiny snippet, is that just remember that we have all come to this life, the life we live now, with lessons to learn. And you can learn from the lessons. You can make it really hard. You can live in the suffering, or you can actually learn to thrive from the pain or the learnings you've had so far and say, you know what? I'm done. I don't need to learn anymore because my path is to actually ride over, to get over self. And with that, you have to go inside. You need to cohere with your own body to be able to actually learn the lesson that you came here to do. And I'm not going to go into karmic stuff because some people don't believe in karma. But if that means that next life you could come back and have a less dysfunctional life, which is always great.
Oh, I say save the hassle, do it in this life right now.
Yeah, but also you can live with such gratitude and so much love in your body when you focus on you for a bit. Put your own oxygen mask on first, and then become someone else's lover. You know?
Yeah. So it starts from within, and
yeah,
that's what I was going to say. So thank you for helping us learn those lessons.
Oh, thank you so much, my darling, and you're a superstar. I knowing you for 2 years and how you have journeyed and who you are today and your personal reality today. Yes.
Right. One of the people I have to thank. In fact, everyone who showed up, you're welcome. Facebook user. We'll get in touch later, and maybe you'll be seeing more people at the retreat. Jessica, thank you for sharing everything.
Thank you so much, Alex. You're a superstar.
Everyone watching this, we'll see you in about 2 weeks' time. Take care.